12:30 a.m. Caribbean Satellite Studio. 1 o'clock a.m. Orange County, California Satellite Studio. 1:30 a.m. San Diego, California Satellite Studio. Stay tuned for more exciting programs only here on INCRadio.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
And good morning to everyone, and welcome to INC Radio. I'm one of your hosts this morning, Brother Robert Topalas, coming to you from here in Tampa, Florida. And today is, of course, Saturday, March 9th here on the East Coast of the United States, which means that it's already March 10th there, just a little past midnight in the Philippines. And we're very, very grateful that you once again are staying up late to catch our program. It's about 11:07 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States. And of course, we're going to be talking a little later about the time shift here, because as we know here in the United States, we observe daylight savings time. And today is the day that everyone has to move their clocks. And you got to help me out here, Brother Jim. Spring forward is what we're doing this time.
You are absolutely correct, Brother Robert. Spring forward, and then we'll fall back. But I keep hearing that they may go away. I'm eager.
I wish they would, because this whole trying to keep up with it has been a real challenge for so many of us here in the United States. But, at some point, we'll all be on the same time zone. But until then, we'll keep on flipping the coin and hope we get it right, so we're not late for our early morning appointments. But I'm going to toss it to you, Brother Jim, for our international greetings this morning. How are things there in Pensacola?
It's a little bit rainy over here, but that's okay. I'm going to be working in the garden later, and I kind of like this damp weather to get that spring garden started. But of course, we really want to welcome everybody who's joined us here today. Magandang gabi, bonjour, buenos dias, buenas tardes, and a hearty howdy. And of course, all those things you can hear right here in Pensacola. It's our culture, right? And we're going to be talking more about that a little bit later. Because I'm going to get to share with you all things about my beautiful city here in Pensacola, Florida. But of course, there's a lot of beauty around, especially with when Sister Audrey's around. And that's why we want to say good morning to you, Sister Audrey.
Oh, good morning, Brother Jim. Such a sweet man. That's why I love Brother Jim so much. And I'm so glad we get to talk about his beautiful city of Pensacola today. So if you're joining us, drop down in the comments below if you visited Pensacola or any questions that you might have about this beautiful city on our Emerald Coast of Florida. But of course, before we continue on in our show, we want to extend our warm greetings to our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our Subsea CEO and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Arano Manalo, our station manager, Brother Arnel Solano, and our executive producer, Brother Manly Andaya. And here on the home front of our beautiful Sunshine State of Florida, we'd like to extend our greetings to our district minister, Brother Marlon Balason, our assistant district minister, Brother Carlitos Medina, and our CFO overseer, Brother Mark Bernal. And over there, of course, in the Philippines, thank you so much, Kuya Tech, for staying up late with us there in Philippines time. We know it's very late there, but we thank you nonetheless for supporting us behind the scenes. And of course, because we are continuing these travel series for Florida right now, right? So we want you to stay connected on these series and more later down the road. So to join us, you can either go to www.iglesianicristo.net/INC Radio, or on my favorite, you can go to YouTube, search INC Radio, click on Live Now, and don't forget to hit that bell notification. So even if you're not looking at your phone at the moment, you'll get that notification to hop on, because we're waiting for you and we're getting ready to talk about more exciting topics for you. The last thing you can also do to stay connected with us, you can download the official INC Radio mobile app for Android and iOS devices. Super easy to navigate because it's just right there. And again, same thing, you get the notification for it. So, to toss it over to our CFO in action, I'm going to hand it off to my dear brother Robert over there in the Tampa area across the way. Hello, brother Robert.
Hey, good morning once again to everybody. Thank you, Sister Audrey. And one of the things that we've got coming up this week, actually, on CFO in Action is an activity tomorrow. It's actually going to be done by WebEx throughout our district. And it's something that I think a lot of people can benefit from here, not just in the District of Florida, but all over who are watching it. It's how can you spot fake news? We live in an age where there's so much technology, so much information that's being pushed out, and a lot of that even comes out through artificial intelligence, which that was a hint or a teaser or a trailer, as Brother Jim would call it, for an upcoming show. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about how can we help each other spot fake news, and that's going to be here in the District of Florida. It's going to be held by WebEx, and we encourage you to please connect with your local Christian family organization leaders in your congregations to find out what time it is and how you can join and learn how to spot fake news. So that's it for CFO in Action. And just a public service announcement, as we mentioned earlier, we still want to continue reminding you that today, or not actually today, but tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. is when you will need to change your clocks and move them forward. Remember, spring forward 1 hour. So that way, if you've got an early morning appointment, if you got worship service in the morning on Sundays, we don't want you to be late. So let's please be sure that we're moving those clocks when you go to bed tonight to 1 hour ahead. And for those of us that are on a lot of our devices, they'll actually automatically move forward. So we don't need to do that. So let's make sure that we're checking them, especially if I've still got an old analog clock sitting here on the wall, Brother Jim, with the hands that move, because something about watching that second hand just moving and ticking along is just really, really satisfying, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. We've got a grandfather clock, and but it's so sad because when every time I remember to wind it, it's probably been sitting dead for 2 days. But it's it's still great to kind of play around with that stuff. But
Until somebody wants to play a joke and move the hands, right?
great. Well, my son Luke, he loves to mess with it, and then of course, public service announcement. Try to get the kids to bed early because they are
Oh
great
yeah.
to wake
Oh,
up.
yes.
That's a public service announcement. Yeah.
Even your grown-up kids, because we know how that goes.
Right.
All right.
We'll
Well,
gladly go.
yeah, we'd love to be able to stay in bed. Well, we're going to continue our Florida travel series. If you watched last week, we took you on a tour of Tampa, which is a beloved city for Sister Audrey, myself, and Sister Marisol. But now we're going to go embark on a captivating journey through this very vibrant city that's on the panhandle of Florida called Pensacola. So we're going to be peeling back a few layers and looking at what has been known as a Gulf Coast gem. And that goes way beyond just its beaches. But Brother Jim's going to take us on a tour to uncover some of these hidden treasures, its rich history, and more importantly, the diverse culture that makes this town of Pensacola truly unique. So, Brother Jim, I'm going to toss it over to you.
All right. Yeah, and we can go ahead and pull up the slideshow. All right, Pensacola travel series. I love my town, and thank you, Sister Cherise, for joining us. Sister Cherise, she with me lived here in Pensacola. We love our town so much. First off, just to kind of give everybody the lay of the land, where Pensacola is located in Florida. So if you look at the next slide, you can see, traveling. Brother Robert has done a little travel course from Tampa. Fun fact, I think Brother Robert, you mentioned Tampa was the third largest city. I wanted to kind of, show the difference with Pensacola. Pensacola is the 73rd largest city in Florida. So obviously it's a much smaller town. But, I will say that Pensacola certainly has a rich history. And as you can see, we're up in what you'll probably have heard us say, the Panhandle, if you're not familiar with Florida, because it kind of looks like a panhandle. And we are in the furthest western spot. And, Pensacola is, one of those cities that, as far as history goes, it's been around for a long time. It was actually the first settlement that the Spanish had made in North America. But sadly, a hurricane came along and wiped it out. And so it had to be rebuilt. And that's why beautiful St. Augustine, I know, Audrey, you spent a lot of time there, is still considered it's the first city. But Pensacola, and some other quick facts about Pensacola, just to set the stage. It's obviously located far west. It's great. The difference being in a small town, our average commute here is only 19 minutes. So you can zip
Oh,
around.
that's just
Yes,
cruel. Don't say
I
that.
have to
That's
say that because, and of course, like a lot of places in Florida, we average 325 sunny days at our beach and 220 sunny days inland. So one of the big reasons why I moved here is just to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful weather. But I kind of broke it down, and Sister Shrees, I'm sure you're going to provide your ideas here. But the next slide, I wanted
well.
to kind
Let's hop on the boat and head up there, right? So let's.
of
I had to get the boat in there, so.
I'm sorry, appreciate the production quality. So we have Pensacola Beach, and I have to say, so Cherise, let's just do it. It's the greatest beach on the planet, and
It is so beautiful. It's honestly what sold me to actually move to Pensacola because we were living in Virginia, suffering like winters and snow. And then the next thing you know, we visited the beautiful Pensacola. Our friends, the first thing they did was brought us to the beach and they locked us in. And I was like, oh my goodness, we're moving. So, yep,
yeah,
beautiful beaches.
If any realtor ever wants, a life hack on how to boost sales, just take somebody to the beaches. That's
That's
the
it.
way you sell Florida.
That's it.
and I have to point out, you don't have to adjust your monitor. You don't have to adjust your screen. There's nothing wrong with it. The sand is white. It is
White.
pure white sand. It's beautiful. If you ever have a chance, just driving along, we have a national park area that traces along the coast that you can drive. And I love to go down that road just simply for the fact that you just feel like you're on another planet. Just
It's
because,
so beautiful. And if you miss snow, it looks like snow peaks.
yeah,
And so, I mean, it's like if you're like, I miss snow, but I love my beach, then you could just drive through and it's like, oh, snow caps. It's very beautiful, very beautiful.
You just don't want to be wearing a parka when you're out there in the middle of
No,
June, right?
definitely not.
so definitely, this the shot here on the top is Pensacola Beach proper, and you can see our big giant beach ball that kind of points it out to everybody on the water tower. It is a great place. A lot of people come down to visit Pensacola. They go to Pensacola Beach. It's super fun. There's all kinds of places to eat. There's a lot of things to do. But like last show, we were talking about Tampa, those hidden beaches. Living here, I get I get my fill of tourists at a certain point. So even though we love them to come here, but I like to go venture out further. And like I mentioned, the National Seashore, you can go out there. You're going to find much more secluded beaches, and they go on for miles. And certainly, I'll be sharing with you things about Fort Pickens. That's an area that's also a national park. Beautiful beaches, and you don't have to fight the crowds to go there. Perfect for family. And
And fishing, perfect for all of our fishing lovers, perfect for fishing.
and we'll go ahead if you go to the next slide, because you know we have fishing. You can see that dolphin. Our bay areas, we have Pensacola Bay. We have a number of sounds. So if you're afraid to cross a bridge, don't come here, because we got bridges going everywhere because we have all these
Yes.
bodies of water. And what I love so much about it, you can see there's a lot of trails. There's a lot of areas to explore. We are a small town, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to move to Pensacola, because no matter if you live downtown or just in some of the suburbs, you're usually minutes away from a pretty natural environments. These state parks, we have some of the best state parks I think in the country. You can see up there, there's a picture. It's hard to tell. We have ospreys. I mentioned about driving out to Fort Pickens. And if you're there in the springtime, you can watch the ospreys, and they're feeding their babies. They're flying out, they're grabbing a fish, and it's like this constant string of ospreys overhead as you're driving that are coming in and feeding, getting their babies fat for the winter, because we got tons of fish all around our area. There's a picture of me camping. Love to camp. There's all kinds of great campgrounds, and once again, the trails around us are phenomenal. Um, Let me go to the next slide because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to talk about the food. But
Yes.
what makes the food so good? Like you mentioned, Sister Cherise, fishing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You all get out. I know Brother Eric and I, your husband, we went out fishing for mackerel
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yep.
And I can see your beautiful family out there. We have a great fishing pier. There's really a number of fishing piers that within a short distance of where we're at, and they're there because, as you can see, there's a lot of fish. There's a lot. There's a lot to be had. The sounds are full of blue crab. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
give your kid a thrill, take him out to one of the sounds, like in the Naval Live Oaks area. Luke loves to go out with his little crabbing net and
Mm-hmm.
catch the blue crabs, and you have the hermit crabs. But I gotta say, when I first moved down here, somebody asked me if I fished, and I said, I fish a little bit, and they just kind of looked at me and nodded their head and say, "Oh, you'll start fishing."
That's going to
Mm-hmm.
change, right?
It's gonna change. You'll be a
So tell
fisher before yet.
so what kind of fish? Well, because we talked about this when we were in Tampa, right? Because we're all in the Gulf,
Right.
and the Gulf
Mm-hmm.
waters are warmer. They tend to breed personally better tasting fish. So what is your favorite fish to catch, Brother Jim? And then we'll ask the same with Sister Cherise.
Oh, it's got to be pompano. Pompano is the best tasting
Mm-hmm.
fish on the planet. In my humble opinion, it is. It's kind of fatty, and they're fairly easy to catch. They
Mm-hmm.
usually come in. This actually is probably a pretty good time. I should get out and try to catch some. They come in. They're probably as easy to catch from a pier or from the beach. You don't have to go out deep to get to the pompanos. They're coming in, and they really start coming in around February, and you can start catching them. Great to eat. Of course, if you look in that bottom right uh, picture, you can see there's a lot of what we call hardtail down here
Mm-hmm.
and yellowtail. Those are great fish to catch. My wife can get out on the pier because you can catch them 4 and 5 at a time. I can't
Yes.
Wow.
I can't get her to stop. She was
4
gonna.
or 5. I can't even catch one.
It's so much fun. If he's talking about what I think he's talking about, I like to fish. What is the version? The sabiki hooks? Like it's
Yeah,
like a line filled with hooks, and you just like dip it in the pier, and then it's like, oh, here comes fish, and then like take it back out, and it's like a whole like thing of fish. I like to do that. That excites me, and then I just let Brother Eric take all the fish off for me, and then
I was
I
going to
just
say
dip it back in.
who does do you do the dehooking, Sister Cherise?
No,
Removing the
Brother
hook?
Eric does for me because he
That's what
loves me very
husbands do.
much.
That's what
Hmm.
husbands do.
I knew I was in love when Sissa Moore. We were catching so many fish, and I said, okay, well, it's getting late. We've got a lot of fish. I don't want to be up all night, cleaning them. And she just looked at me. I'll clean them. And I was like,
She just she,
so she is fast. Let me tell
Yep.
you. But she gets away with being fast because she leaves a lot because they're looking at me when I'm eating them. So, but that's okay. I'm good with that. There's
so what's that in the middle next to the crab, Brother Jim?
That
For
is
some of our viewers.
crawfish.
the crawfish. Yes, that's right.
Crawfish.
And one of the things that I really love about our area, and going back to that map a little bit, we are so far west that a lot of times, culturally,
Hmm.
we're looking more towards the west than we are to the east. So you're
Hmm.
going to get more of that Mobile vibe. You're going to get more of that New Orleans vibe. We're only about 3.5 hours
Cajun.
from New Orleans, and that's it. And that's what it all comes down to. It's a lot more Cajun influence, a lot more French influence.
Hmm.
And they like their mud bugs, let me tell you. And there's the crawfish.
I
Having those,
love it.
yeah, it is so good. The only thing I wish they were bigger because
I do too.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
call them
work. I've
baby
had some.
lobsters.
It's a whole lot of work to get a little
Not
bit of meat.
really. It's like baby lobsters. So you just pull them apart, and the meat's in the tail, and then slurp it right up. It's so good.
you know,
So good.
Oh,
but it's that it is truly a cultural thing because the
Mhm.
idea is when you have a crawfish boil, you're going to sit around and talk and eat, and you're going to spend some time doing it, because
Yes.
but the ideal is to find a nice long picnic table
Mm-hmm.
outside, throw some newspapers down or some plastic, and just dump them bad boys out and let everybody go for it. And
It's
I
really
guess,
making me hungry.
yeah, well, it's like
It's never too early for crawfish.
I think about it.
Never.
It's like
Never.
our golf equivalent of a, what is it, a voodoo fight or a bodo?
Oh,
What is it?
Yes.
boodle fight.
Yeah, boodle fight. It
Yeah.
really truly is. You spread all of the seafood out on the table and just have at it. Rice, your little dipping sauces.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. And if for some reason, which I highly doubt it, you have bad luck fishing, you can always go to Joe Patty's. That's there in the corner.
Yes.
It is a Pensacola icon.
Yes.
You go there, it's a fish market. They have everything at a great price. And even a crotchety old man calling things out, that it's just hilarious. It's just
It's like a hidden gem. It's like a tourist attraction. Anyone who comes to visit, they're like, "Where's the seafood?" I take them there and they're like, "Oh my goodness." Like it is, yes, it's an experience. They love it for the experience and they love it for the fresh seafood because it's right there off the pier. So all of it is completely fresh.
completely right. And now we're talking about food. Let's just go deeper into the food. Let's go to the next slide, please. And yes, the food. If you haven't
Yes.
guessed by now, we love to eat here in Florida and in Pensacola. But truly, the first thing I did really want to point out is, we have great food, but we have all these wonderful locations to enjoy the food. Being surrounded by water, being really this giant, peninsula. There's like all these restaurants that sit on the water. You can enjoy, whether you're down on the beach. That in the corner is the Fish House, which is close to downtown. Shrimp and grits doesn't get much better. Yes, and they do a wonderful job. But just the location to go to the Fish House. The next slide that you can see the red, close on the beach, the red umbrellas. That's Crabs. One of those other places, just living here and taking people who come to visit around. I almost always take them to Crabs because
Yes.
you can really sit and enjoy yourself. You're right on the beach, and the kids can play. There's a playground on the sand that even if they fall down from the top, they just land in sand. So
Land in sand. They're very family oriented, so it's perfect for people with little kids. Just like mommy and daddy are eating seafood, and we're just keeping eyes on the playground while they play.
Right.
It's perfect.
But we're not recommending throwing your kids off the balcony as an activity.
Definitely not. Definitely
to be
not.
sure we know that, right? Okay.
No, but if by chance, no, definitely not. And even closer into town, just down there by Joe Patty's, this scene over here is taken over at Dave's Boathouse, which is another great place you can go in. And then I want to point out, we are a very multicultural city. And in addition to having that Creole influence here and obviously Spanish influence, we definitely have a fairly large Vietnamese community. We have great Vietnamese food. Yeah, and I know where you're going to say, it's Saigon, right?
Yes, it is so good. Our pho, this Saigon place is, oh my god, it is like I don't even put anything. Like people they'll load up hoisin or sriracha and any other pho. I don't put anything because the broth is just.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
It is so good, and a lot of the best places like Saigon, it's in a little market, so you can go there. It happened that Amora and I went last night. My wife and I and my son went just last night because she wanted some of that. Look at that! That soup is so rich.
I love
So rich.
Luke's face in that corner.
Staring.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
he looks like he's about to destroy that plate.
He loves fried fish, and God, there's always that standby that any place you go to. One of the things I love about Pensacola, that's always going to be an option on the menu, no matter where you eat. You want the fried fish? So we got it, and my
It's
son
there.
always happy. He's always content, and he did devour that. People walk by. And they said, "Boy, that boy likes his fish." And I said, "Yep."
Boy can eat.
He certainly did. But we're already at the bottom of the hour, Brother Robert.
I
I could go on
know.
and on about it. Just
We're
really,
gonna have to do a number 2.
there's so much We have, of course, the military, like I mentioned before. A lot of people, especially the brethren here that have settled in Pensacola, they had served in the military. And this is a place
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of military people retire. It's a very, the city's history is entwined with lots of forts. We still maintain three good sized military bases around Pensacola. So,
Yep.
and of course, we're blessed to have the Blue Angels, which they
Blue
do
Right?
Angels.
shows that are so fantastic. And we have this lovely downtown. Once again, that vibe, that kind of that coastal New Orleans, the wrought iron kind of feel. We've got that zoo,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have these wonderful settlements, a lot of history. But gosh, I could go on and on.
Oh, I know. And you know what? We just are going to have to go up there and personally visit Pensacola to experience all of this stuff. I want to go fishing. I want to eat some crawfish and be able to experience those restaurants. But,
I
you
see a
know,
live show from crawfish or whatever crab boil we have.
Yep.
yeah, I'm never
So
going to
much
look at it the
fun.
same. But as
Mhm.
always happens, we're at the bottom of the hour, a little past it, but we want you to please stay tuned because coming up right after this is going to be INC Radio Caribbean. But for now, this is Brother Robert here in Tampa for Sister Audrey, who's also in Tampa. Actually, she's over here, I think, right? Yeah. And then up there, we've got Brother Jim in Pensacola and Sister Charisse in Pensacola taking us on a wonderful tour of their beautiful city. We look forward to visiting it in person. But for now, have a wonderful Saturday. Don't forget to change your clocks tonight for you here in the United States. 1 hour forward, spring forward. We'll see you again on INC Radio Florida.